Good morning or good evening. My name's Ian Cathcart. I'm Church of Scotland minister in the parish of Flemington Hallside. And like lots of ministers, I'm not really able to meet folks the way I would normally. And therefore, we're trying to at least try and connect with some of the folks in the congregation and in the parish through this YouTube channel. So if that's you, welcome. If you have nothing to do with Flemington Hallside Parish Church, then you're welcome to, probably even more, so don't leave us. Basically, this is a really weird time, and as a consequence, we're really just trying to kind of think out what does it mean to follow Christ as we work our way through Lent, head towards Easter, in what is very, very clearly, for most of us, in our lifetime, a unique Easter. And is there actually anything to learn from the fact that we're going through this particular challenging time, to put it mildly? Has anything been said or has anything happened that caused you to reflect and think and maybe see the world differently? Earlier in March, Professor June Andrews, she is a professor in nursing, and she was reporting to one of the medical committees in the Parliament in Scotland. She knew she was going to be quoted when she said it, and she said herself that what she was saying was horrific, or at least would be branded as such. But she said something that really made me stop and think about, where do we place value, in whom do we place value, and why? She said, she was speaking about bed blocking when somebody is in hospital, fit, as in the actual medical reason for going into hospital has been dealt with. Now they're ready to go home, but they can't go home because the social work department, the kind of package of social care that they need when they get home, isn't available. And so they're stuck in bed, usually referred to as bed blocking. And Professor June Andrews said that the coronavirus, her words, could be quite useful because your hospitals would then work, because these people who are not able to go home, they would be the ones that are most likely to get the virus in hospital. And then the hospital would work, because these people would be, again, to use her phrase, taken out of the system. Is that how you view it? I guess you can say she was looking at it very pragmatically. But it made me think, we are literally bringing our economy to an almost virtual stop, because this virus specifically, it would appear, seems to target those who are in their 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s. And therefore, it will literally kill tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, unless we limit contact with one another. The value that we put on people, is that the correct value? I don't know what you were doing last night at 8 o'clock. We were outside our front door doing what lots of people around here were doing, which was giving the folks a round of applause. Last week it was the NHS. This week it was the care workers who go in to help the folks who are housebound, and the people who drive the lorries to get the supplies to the supermarket, the folks who make the system of life function. We often don't value them very much. Certainly, if their salaries ain't to go by, they're not given a huge remuneration for what they do. Right now, we suddenly see with fresh eyes just how important they are. Can I put a thought in your head with regard to a Bible verse? This is certainly a famous Bible verse, but no less significant for just now. This is Genesis chapter 1, reading verse 26. Then Jesus said, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the bird in the air, birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the animals, and over the creatures that move along the ground." It struck me most forcefully. People are significant, not because of who they are, but because of who made them. There are unquestionably people in this country and indeed around the world who would say, is it really that important to save a few old folk from dying that we shut down our economy? People genuinely ask that question. And what's worse, you may be asking yourself that question yourself because you are in your 60s or your 70s or your 80s or your 90s. Or maybe you're really impressive and you've got this level of technology even though you're more than 100 years old. You might genuinely ask, am I really worth it? You're made in the image of God. That is why you're worth it. And when you're tempted to think, as you go through this day, especially if you're somebody who's not in that age group, but you're in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, and it's like, man, this shutdown is absolutely infuriating. When you're tempted to think that way, recognize there will come a time, God willing, when you are in that age where people are tempted to write you off as not that significant. The point being, you are, because of who made you. And so as you go into this day, recognize whether you're on the front line and going into some COVID-19 ward and you are having to stay focused on the harsh reality of this virus, or whether you are stuck at home being told you're not allowed to go out and your messages are going to come to your doorstep because someone's going to deliver them. Whoever you are, your worth in this world can feel often to do with how much you earn and how big's your house and what's its worth and how many holidays do you go on and how just all the accumulation of stuff. That's what the measure of you is. That's nonsense. And it's times like this when the priorities of life are truly visible that we recognize where value truly lies. If you've made it all the way to this end point, then that's 8.5 minutes and you have done well. Fact is, it's a whole lot more than what I thought you were going to last. So, if this is the first one for you, and it's certainly the first one for me, thanks for being here. Let me know if there's anything you want to specifically, if you've got any questions, literally. What does it mean to follow Christ at this time when the coronavirus is shaping everything? Hopefully we'll be doing things each day. Hopefully we'll be doing a kind of service on a Sunday. Most of all, we just hopefully will stay in contact. Really good to see you. And whatever you do, I pray God goes with you and that you go with him the whole of today. See you soon.